we're constantly focused on ourselves in a world that's telling us to focus on ourselves. I mean, that's the message, right? That you look out for number one. Most of the time when I've done that, it's actually not turned out even as good for me. When I start focusing on other people, I end up with a lot more joy.
So why is this so difficult?
I think it's hard because what if there really were some things you could do to accelerate your success? We actually believe that there are. Welcome to the Lead Everyday Show. I'm Randy Gravitt.
And I'm Mark Miller.
And Mark, we are passionate about leaders being their very best. We talk about them chasing uncommon greatness, this idea that they have a chance to make a huge impact. But winning at work is not the only part of a leader's life. We talk to leaders everywhere, and they say, I really want to win outside of work as well. And so I'm excited. We got the book Winning Begins at Home coming out here just in a couple of days now. It's going to be out for us, and we're gonna have a chance for leaders to have maybe a different conversation than the one they've been having. How cool would it be if all the leaders we know could really accelerate their success? It's just a way we could put our foot on the gas and go a little faster and farther, have a little more impact. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, I think leaders would see, and they may know this intuitively, a symbiotic relationship that when you can win on both fronts, you'll accelerate your success.
And I think you can. I mean, I really do. People tell me all the time, I don't think you can do both. I don't think you can win this and win that. And why would you want to win at work and forfeit everything that really matters? And I don't think the goal is just to have a great home. I think
let's win in both arenas.
Let's win in both arenas. I think that'd be fantastic. It is. There's some fundamentals that have to be in place though, and we've spent the last few days on fundamental number one, to love first. There's a second fundamental I think is huge when it comes to our home life, and it's to what I would say live last. It's to live last. I want to be in the front of the line when it comes to love. I want to be the person who's living in such a way that the people who really know me the best love me the most. And I mentioned the other day or yesterday when we stopped, the idea that they might even like you. This was kind of cool. A year or two ago, I had a conversation with one of my kids, and she makes this statement at the end. She says, "I love you, Dad, and I like you," which was like, that's kind of cool, because you always wonder, and they're all grown up now, but you always wonder, like, do my kids like me at all? And it doesn't matter if they like, but hopefully they can. Hopefully there's a relationship there where you're going, they actually can love you and like you. And I thought, okay, maybe I'm making some progress, because I think there've been a lot of times through the years where they might have loved me because they're supposed to, or they have to, or they feel obligated to, but they might not have liked me so much. And so you may be listening out there and you're going, I don't know if the people who are with me are really with me, kind of, so to speak. So I think there's, front of the line when it comes to love. But I would say when it comes to living last, let's race to the back of the line and make sure that, the people that we're with they're in front of us in the way we think about that. And so I know you've written about that actually in the business world as well, this idea of being a servant leader. You think the best leaders are servant leaders, just like I do. And I think it's a powerful concept at home as well.
It is. And we need to explore how to help leaders do that.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so when I think about this idea of being a servant leader, the first thing that comes to mind is a little bit conceptual here, but I always think about, we mentioned the block and tackling with football. I think of the offensive lineman mindset. I think it's just this, the offensive lineman is a person who shows up every day, and they really just open up holes so other people can score. I mean, if you think about it, and that's such a great picture. That's what a mom looks like, right? We just had Mother's Day a few weeks ago. That's what most moms, pretty sacrificial in the way you think about it. And I was with a group of leaders a few weeks ago, and I made this statement about the power of a mom, and they were away. They were with me at this training that we were doing. They'd flown, away from their kids for a couple of days, and they were getting ready to go back. And I said, "What do you think your kids? Do you really think your kids are going to say thank you when you come home?" And they're going to probably say, "Where's the food?" And one lady said, "They're going to ask me, what'd you bring me?" I mean, that's kind of their mindset. It's thankless. It's to show up every day and to be a mom. Same thing for a dad. And we got Father's Day coming up, and again, plug for the book. If you've not gotten a Father's Day gift for some of the dads that are important, or the moms, belated Mother's Day, be a great little gift for them, I believe. Help this conversation along. But so many moms and dads just continuing to do stuff, sacrifice for maybe young people who aren't necessarily appreciating it. Did any of us appreciate it the way we should have when we were growing up, if you had a mom and dad that were investing in your life? And yet it becomes so powerful for us to have this mindset of living last. It's amazing what it can do. Such a great example to the next generation, really to the person, you're married to, whatever. It's not only powerful in the workplace, this becomes a powerful, idea at home as well. So that offensive lineman mindset is the way I sort of think about this.
So why is this so difficult?
That's a great question. I think it's hard because we are constantly focused on ourselves in a world that's telling us to focus on ourselves. I mean, that's the message, right? That you look out for number one. We've heard that our whole lives. And most of the time when I've done that, it's actually not turned out even as good for me as it does if I start thinking about other people. And here's the thing I would say about it. I think you would agree with this is when I start focusing on other people, especially the people I live with, really the people I work with as well, when I focus on them, it actually hopefully will add value to them. But I end up with a lot more joy when I do that than if I lie down at night and know I've been selfish. I've not really had the right motive. I've not thought about other people the way I should. There's tension there too, and carrying that, knowing that you're being self-serving. I don't think that's the way to go. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also think that a lot of leaders haven't had great role models, and they haven't had great role models at work. But unfortunately, many of them haven't had great role models at home.
Yeah.
So I think part of what we're calling people to is to recalibrate.
Yeah.
And to escape maybe some of your past experiences and your past thinking. You've got agency in this arena.
Yeah,
you can be an offensive lineman, even if you don't have the body type, right?
Yeah.
You can open holes for others.
Well, I'll switch our sports here and let's go to the track for a second. And if you've ever been to a track meet and you've been to a relay race and there's the baton, and I think there are some people who are listening who've not had a baton handed to them. They're like, well, nobody ever demonstrated this for me. No, I don't know how to do this. What would I do? And I just remind people all the time, there's always a lead runner.
Yeah, they're the first runner.
There's somebody that's going to have to start this. And if you want a generation of legacy down the road, you can decide. Even if you had a family that you're going, there's a lot of stuff I'm proud of, but there's some things that I would change. You get to change it. I mean, back to your point, it's like you get to decide. We're going to go somewhere different. But I like the idea of being agency. I like the way you say that. There's agency. We have the ability to choose what we're going to do moving forward, regardless of what was or wasn't handed to us. So I think that's a powerful thing. Okay, so I want to for the person who's listening, going like, so how do I do this? Like, how do I live last? Like, how do I put it into practice? So years ago, I was working with a Major League Baseball team, and I had an opportunity to have dinner one night with a hitting coach from this organization, and we had a fascinating conversation. I had listened to him in camp that day, talking about rhythm and timing and balance, and he's got all these hitters, and he's explaining stuff to them. Just going back through the fundamentals of hitting. And so we're having dinner that night, and I said, hey, I got a question for you. I said, what do you do when somebody gets in a slump? And he's like, you know, mean like a bad slump? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, if these are the best hitters in the world. I mean, but there's times you hear about these guys, they're like one for their last 39, or they hadn't had a hit in 3 weeks. I mean, like what, you don't want to send them down. You got tremendous contracts, all this kind of stuff. What do you do? And he said, forget all the rhythm, timing, balance. And I'm like, okay, well, what do you do? He said, there's only 2 things. I'm like, this ought to be good. And here's what he says: see ball, hit ball. That's what you tell him. He said, that's it. Forget everything else. Let's just go back to the basics. See the ball, hit the ball. Just start there. And it made me start thinking about this idea of being a servant leader or a servant leader in your home. And I think it can be just as simple as just see a need and meet a need. You know, it doesn't have to be something really hard. The dishwasher's full. It doesn't matter who loaded it or didn't load it, or it needs to be loaded. And I walk by and I literally have an opportunity to help. Or if, you know, somebody's can't cover this, you can cover it for them. I mean, you know, somebody needs stop by the grocery store or a ride to practice. I mean, there's just no end at home. If you live in a home, you just got thousands of opportunities every day to see a need and meet a need. And I don't think I mean, I know there'll be people listening going, well, I can't meet all the needs. I think there's power in just saying, I want to meet a need. I don't have to meet all the needs today. I've just got to focus on something intentional that I can do. Maybe you do something for every person every day. Begin to train your heart.
Make it a habit.
Make it a habit. And then it becomes second nature. And all of a sudden, I think, let's go back to yesterday. I think you become the person that goes, man, I love this person. I love living with this person. Now, I understand. Let's go back to your original question. Why is this hard? I think it's hard because I start thinking, well, if I do this for you, what are you going to do for me? And that's not the right motive. I mean, you've written about that before in the business setting as well. So I think motive matters here, but I think sometimes our motives begin to change when we practice doing the right thing. You agree with that?
Sure. And I want to add another way to think about see need, meet need, because that's good, but I'm kind of slow to pick up on some of that stuff. I just am. I mean, I may never notice that the dishwasher's full, right?
Yeah.
However,
it's full every day. So
okay, well, that's good. But I could give you a lot of other examples of things that I'm not going to notice.
Depends on how many grandkids you have.
And I'm not going to see.
That's right.
So I've tried to and continue to cultivate the habit of asking.
I was going to say, that's so, yep.
And I don't know, I actually probably annoy my wife from time to time because I'm always asking.
What can I do?
How can I serve? What can I do?
Yeah.
How can I help? I don't know. On a good day, I ask that 20 or 30 times.
Yeah. Yeah. See, and that's another.
But I'm not saying that's great either, because she's like, quit asking me. I said, well, tell me something I can do to help.
Yeah.
Because I'm just not going to see a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But she can say, well, yeah, can you do this? Can you go to the grocery store? Can you do this?
Yeah.
Can you do that? But if I didn't ask, some of those are needs I would never see.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of been my default.
Yeah,
because I'm not good at seeing.
I want to push you here to think about, can I look for some? Without.
I'm always looking.
Yeah, that's good. You're always asking.
But I ask a lot. I ask a lot.
So let's make sure we're seeing. We are asking. I love the idea of asking as well. Maybe I need to do a little more asking. I'm actually
be careful.
I'm afraid to ask.
Give you some answers.
That's right. I'm afraid to ask. So, yeah, let's make sure if you're listening, you are asking the people around you, how can I help? How can I serve? And then you're looking for opportunities. You see some needs, and just as simple as just see something and do something, and it becomes a powerful opportunity for you to change your heart and hopefully add some value as well. So we'll pick up on this conversation tomorrow. Remember, the best leaders lead every day.